शारदावानलनिरलोका तराय कारुण्य घनाघन.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to the lockdown program with Krishna under the umbrella of Govardhan Hill. Today we are reading and discussing the most beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Jaya Nitai Sachi Sundara, Nitai Sachi Sundara, Nitai Sachi Sundara, Nitai Sachi Sundara, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev.
Jai Hare Krishna, beautiful kirtan, Midangam, wonderful. Thank you, Ben. Thank you very much for giving us a nice kirtan. Welcome to the lockdown, Ben, Rashmi, Dharm, small group tonight. Others may still come, Amar may still come, and I don't know about others. Welcome. I have a few things. You might be aware that on the 25th of December is Gita Jayanti, the day Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Generally, devotees all over the world celebrating that Gita Jayanti by a big yagya, Shravanam, Kirtanam Yagya, meaning reciting the entire Bhagavad Gita. So it's a Friday, and on top of it, it's Mokshada Ekadashi as well, so extremely auspicious time of getting so much spiritual credit. So Mokshada, obviously that is a Ekadashi will give easily liberation. So anyone wants liberation, then let's celebrate Gita Jayanti on Mokshada Ekadashi. I have another proposal. We could, if you can think about it, we don't need to decide now, and certainly not in a small group like that. We could over Christmas, the 5 days or 3 days, whatever it is, if devotees don't have any other plans of going to the pub, certainly not of visiting family or whatever, we could just do some sessions over Christmas, over the Christmas 3-4 days, whichever it is. So we can discuss that. And we could do lots of kirtans there and a bit of reading. That would be nice. Rashmi?
So, I am free. I have taken some leave for from 25th of December to 4th of January.
25th. So how do you feel about the Gita Jayanti?
I'm okay. I'm okay because from 25th onwards, I'm pretty much at home. So though I will be busy, I will be doing some stuff from home, but it's okay. I am okay with class. If you're going to do Bhagavatam class also every day, I am okay for it as well.
That's wonderful. And Ben just put the thumbs up. So we'll have already 2 and myself 3. Yes, we will announce that. So not working rather than sitting at home all alone over Christmas. Let's come together. Let's celebrate the real spirit of Christmas by praising the Lord. So I have here a little bit something from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to read. Rashmi knows it already, but Dharm and Ben, you don't know that. It's called Chant Anyway. Your mind is wandering all over the universe when you chant. That sounds familiar, right? Chant anyway, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. Your mind is wandering to the past and the future when you chant. Chant anyway. You are not able to concentrate on Krishna's names while you chant. Chant anyway. You have no taste for chanting. Chant anyway. You have lusty desires. Chant. You are making offenses in chanting. Chant anyway. You are not praying to Krishna to help you chant better. Chant anyway. That's interesting. You are not praying to chant better. So we can pray to Krishna to chant better. It's not the same as Krishna, please let me pass my driving test or something. That's different because that is to help. Krishna, we are asking for help in chanting his holy name. So you are not praying to Krishna to help you chant better. Chant anyway. You often chant late at night. Chant anyway, like chanting 11, 12 o'clock. So why, Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked, why should you chant despite all of the above obstacles? This is why. There is no vow like chanting the holy name, no knowledge superior to it, no meditation which comes anywhere near it, and it gives the highest result. No penance is equal to it, and nothing is as potent or powerful as the holy name. Chanting is the greatest act of piety and the supreme refuge. Even the words of the Vedas do not possess sufficient power to describe its magnitude. Chanting is the highest path to liberation, peace, and eternal life. It is the pinnacle of devotion, the heart's joyous proclivity and attraction, and the best form of remembrance of the Supreme Lord. That's quite interesting. Chanting is the best way of remembering Krishna. The holy name has appeared solely for the benefit of the living entities as their Lord and Master, the supreme worshipful object, and the spiritual guide and mentor. Also, that's interesting. We say Harinam Prabhu, because generally we devotees, or people in general, maybe not devotees, they may not be aware that Harinam, okay, it's a sound, it's a thing. No, it's a Prabhu. It's a Prabhu. Harinam Prabhu, the holy name, has appeared. This Prabhu has appeared solely for the benefit of the living entities as their Lord and Master. This Harinam Prabhu is our Lord and Master, the supreme worshipful object, and the spiritual guide and mentor. In fact, this Harinam is Krishna himself. Whoever continuously chants, again, we spoke many times about that, and we went through Srila Prabhupada's books and hundreds or lots of references. Chant all the time, chant 24 hours, chant continuously, and so on. So here, that goes way back to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Whoever continuously chants Lord Krishna's holy name, even in his sleep, can easily realize that the name is a direct manifestation of Krishna himself, in spite of the influences of Kali Yuga. So this was a quote from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur from his literary accomplished volume Sharanagati, and it's quoted from Adi Purana. So, beautiful, huh? Continuous chanting even in one's sleep. I had these recent days, I had some amazing dreams in the early morning. I was with Dina Bandhu, our Vrindavan Sanatan Goswami. So we will hear something from Dina Bandhu, not today. He gives such wonderful kathas. So I thought that was nice to have that. Chant anyway. And we'll go to the Bhagavatam. Am Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Am Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Am Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 27. And the text 27 is already in the chat area. Welcome, Vashana Mataji, joining us. We're just starting to read Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. We spoke about Gita Jayanti and Christmas. I'll send you the file once it's ready. We'll speak again next time when more people are here. So, text 27. Rajastama Prakritaya Samashila Vajanti Vai Pitri Bhutva Pracheshadin Shri Aishvarya Prachepsava. Translation. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship the forefathers and other living beings and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There is no need to worship demigods of whatever category if one is serious about going back to Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:20 and 7:23, it is clearly said that those who are mad after material enjoyment approach the different demigods for temporary benefits, which are meant for men with a poor fund of knowledge. We should never desire to increase the depth of material enjoyment. Material enjoyment should be accepted only up to the point of the bare necessities of life and not more or less than that. To accept more material enjoyment means to bind oneself more and more to the miseries of material existence. More wealth, more women, and false aristocracy are some of the demands of the materially disposed man because he has no information of the benefits derived from Vishnu worship. By Vishnu worship, one can derive benefit in this life as well as in life after death. Forgetting these principles, foolish people who are after more wealth, more wives, and more children worship various demigods. The aim of life is to end the miseries of life and not to increase them. For material enjoyment, there is no need to approach the demigods. The demigods are but servants of the Lord. As such, they are duty-bound to supply necessities of life in the form of water, light, air, etc. One should work hard and worship the Supreme Lord by the fruits of one's hard labor for existence. And that should be the motto of life. One should be careful to execute occupational service with faith in God in the proper way. And that will lead one gradually on the progressive march back to Godhead. Lord Shri Krishna, when he was personally present at Vrajadam, stopped the worship of the demigod Indra and advised the residents of Vraj to worship by their business and to have faith in God. Worshipping the multi-demigods for material gain is practically a perversity of religion. This sort of religious activities has been condemned in the very beginning of the Bhagavatam as Kaitava Dharma. There is only one religion in the world to be followed by one and all, and that is the Bhagavad Gita, the religion which teaches one to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and no one else. Hare Krishna. Let's go a little bit back. There are a few points. I'll read the translation again. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship the forefathers, other living beings and the demigods, who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. So, if we look around, how many people are aspiring for women, money, and power? More or less all our politicians and leaders of society. We just need to take as an example the previous president of the United States. He's a prime example, but not the only one. One religion is here mentioned, worship of Vishnu, the religion, Bhagavad Dharma. And religion for material profit and economic development is condemned. We spoke in previous sessions about economic development, which has so much gone wrong in our present day society. Now we start to see what economic development has brought us. A pandemic, exploitation of nature, mass extinction of species, exhaustion of mineral resources, pollution of our oceans, land, air, and much more. So these are some negative benefits of economic development. Srila Prabhupada mentioned Bhagavad Gita 720 and 723. These are the quotes. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. And the next Gita verse says, I am in everyone's heart as a super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. That's interesting. Krishna is helping people who want to worship a demigod and makes their faith steady. Better to worship the demigods than to be atheist. We mentioned that before also, because some superior entities are recognized, and that gives a platform of gradually rising higher up. Next verse, Bhagavad Gita, endowed with such faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone, is saying Krishna. So people worship the demigods. They don't realize that I am behind the demigods, and those boons which the demigods give, they're actually coming from Krishna. So why not worship Krishna directly? And the last verse, Bhagavad Gita 7:23, men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and the fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet, Loka. There is another interesting sentence where Srila Prabhupada writes, material enjoyment should be accepted only up to the point of the bare necessities of life, and not more or less than that. I thought that was interesting. One would expect not more than that. Srila Prabhupada said not more and not less than that. So a balance, same what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, a true yogi does not eat too much, not too little, does not sleep too much, not too little. So the balance. Or sometimes that same point is addressed. We should take as much to keep body and soul together. There are some people that artificially renounce too much and becoming ill or sick or with the wrong motives as well. So these things are happening. Anything else? Yes. One should work hard. Welcome, Amar. One should work hard and worship the Supreme Lord by the fruits of one's hard labor for existence. What does that mean? That's my question. You can say, worship the Lord by the fruits of one's hard labor. In what direction does that point us? Rashmi, what do you say? That's your favorite topic.
So whatever we are, it's karma yoga basically.
Yes.
What Krishna, what Bhagavatam is saying, that you're working hard, you're earning money, use that to use that money to spread Krishna consciousness, to use it to serve people. Don't just keep everything for yourself. It is to be used. Everything is a yajna to Krishna. Whatever charity you do, whatever you do, it is done through Krishna.
Beautifully expressed. A yajna. Everything should be done as a sacrifice. I recently came across a quote, quite unexpected, not really unexpected, but where Srila Prabhupada makes a point, said no meat eating. And if one is in a situation where it is absolutely necessary, basically a life and death situation or in some circumstances, then one can eat meat, but it has to be offered in sacrifice. So there is always some restrictions. So the sacrifice is very, very important. And there's a Bhagavad Gita verse. I don't know, Ben, do you remember that verse? Takes his yajna and go forth and be happy, something like that. The yajna for Vishnu at the beginning of creation that has been given to man. So yajna is very important.
Be happy by this sacrifice.
Yes.
Be happy by this sacrifice. It's in chapter 4, Bhagavad Gita. I can't remember it exactly. But I know what you mean. I'll try and find it.
Yes, please. And so a bit later, you come up whenever you found it. So, beautiful verse. Any questions, any comments?
Prabhuji, I heard in a class today that 3 things every varna and every ashram must do compulsorily, and try to do it as much as you can in your life. One is dan. Second, dan is you're using your body to serve. So that is dan.
Charity, basically, right?
Yeah. I think charity is. I don't like personally. I don't like the word charity. I prefer seva. We are doing service.
Yes.
So dan, then other is tap. That means austerity. So whatever, like Ekadashi, or doing austerity is any difficult. Suppose you don't have time to do chanting, but yet you are taking out some time. You are sleeping less, or whatever you're doing less, and you're in that you're putting yourself into some difficulty to do something for Krishna. So that's tap. And the third thing is yagya, which is chanting, because for this age it is chanting. So I heard that in the class. Every single one of us, even if he's Brahmin, apparently he has to do it. All these 3 things.
Yes, absolutely. The Brahmins, they have to, and they do. The proper Brahmins, they be given all kind of things, and then they distribute it. I mean, we know from Bhagavatam, Brahmins have been given cows and gold and whatever, and what they do? What can they do with? They're not becoming suddenly sense enjoyer and becoming materialistic men. They're Brahmins, they're fixed in knowledge. They take whatever is necessary for their maintenance, and the rest they give away again. This is a true Brahmin. So even the Brahmins, they give dan. Yes, it's very important. I spoke with someone today that was very interesting, comes to mind. We don't have time, you mentioned we don't have time. If we don't have time. That person says, I don't have time. My dog is ill. I have to look after my dog who is ill. I thought, oh my God. So we going to the dogs. Yes, of course, if you have an animal, you look after it. But I mean, if we have surrounded ourselves with distractions like that, then we should not be surprised. These are distractions. And if we don't get our priorities right, okay, these animals or any other distractions can be there, but Krishna consciousness needs to be priority. And we need to juggle it somehow or other. Not that we're looking after our dog 24 hours and we don't have time to chant Hare Krishna. That is not a very good priority. I think cats are a little bit better. They don't need that much care. So, any question, comment to that shloka? Or shall we move on? Okay, let's move on. Text 28, text 29. Who wants to read? Right, it's the first shloka. Someone else? Vaishana Mataji, yes.
I can read, yes, thank you. I'll just go back now.
So it's text 28 and 29. Microphone is yours.
Right. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakha, Vasudeva Parayoga, Vasudeva Parakriya, Vasudeva Param Gnanam, Vasudeva Param Tapa, Vasudeva Paro Dharmo, Vasudeva Paragati. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto him. He is the supreme goal of life. Purport. That Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is the only object of worship is confirmed in these two slokas. In the Vedic literature, there is the same objective, establishing one's relationship and ultimately reviving our lost loving service unto him. That is the sum and substance of the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita, the same theory is confirmed by the Lord in his own words. The ultimate purpose of the Vedas is to know him only. All the revealed scriptures are prepared by the Lord through his incarnation in the body of Srila Vyasadeva, just to remind the fallen souls conditioned by material nature of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. No demigod can award freedom from material bondage. That is the verdict of all the Vedic literatures. Impersonalists who have no information of the personality of Godhead minimize the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord and put him on equal footing with all other living beings. And for this act, such impersonalists get freedom from material bondage only with great difficulty. They can surrender unto him only after many, many births in the culture of transcendental knowledge. One may argue that the Vedic activities are based on sacrificial ceremonies. That is true. But all such sacrifices are also meant for realizing the truth about Vasudeva. Another name of Vasudeva is Yajna, sacrifice. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that all sacrifices and all activities are to be conducted for the satisfaction of Yajna or Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. This is the case also with the yoga systems. Yoga means to get into touch with the Supreme Lord. The process, however, includes several bodily features such as asana, dhyana, pranayama, and meditation, and all of them are meant for concentrating upon the localized aspect of Vasudeva represented as Paramatma. Paramatma realization is but partial realization of Vasudeva. And if one is successful in that attempt, one realizes Vasudeva in full. But by ill luck, most yogis are stranded by the powers of mysticism achieved through the bodily process. Ill-fated yogis are given a chance in the next birth by being placed in the families of good learned brahmanas or in the families of rich merchants in order to execute the unfinished task of Vasudeva realization. If such fortunate brahmanas and sons of rich men properly utilize the chance, they can easily realize Vasudeva by good association with saintly persons. Unfortunately, such preferred persons are captivated again by material wealth and honor, and thus they practically forget the aim of life. This is also so for the culture of knowledge. According to Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 items in culturing knowledge. By such culture of knowledge, one becomes gradually prideless, devoid of vanity, non-violent, forbearing, simple, devoted to the great spiritual master, and self-controlled. By culture of knowledge, one becomes unattached to hearth and home and becomes conscious of the miseries due to death, birth, old age, and disease. And all culture of knowledge culminates in devotional service to the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Therefore, Vasudeva is the ultimate aim in culturing all different branches of knowledge. Culture of knowledge leading one to the transcendental plane of meeting Vasudeva is real knowledge. Physical knowledge in its various branches is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita as ajnana, or the opposite of real knowledge. The ultimate aim of physical knowledge is to satisfy the senses, which means prolongation of the term of material existence and thereby continuance of the threefold miseries. So prolonging the miserable life of material existence is no science. But the same physical knowledge leading to the way of spiritual understanding helps one to end the miserable life of physical existence and to begin the life of spiritual existence on the plane of Vasudeva. Do you want me to carry on? The same applies to all kinds of austerities. Tapasya means voluntary acceptance of bodily pains to achieve some higher end of life. Ravana and Hiranyakashipu underwent a severe type of bodily torture to achieve the end of sense gratification. Sometimes modern politicians also undergo severe types of austerities to achieve some political end. This is not actually tapasya. One should accept voluntary bodily inconvenience for the sake of knowing Vasudeva, because that is the way of real austerities. Otherwise, all forms of austerities are classified as modes of passion and ignorance. Passion and ignorance cannot end the miseries of life. Only the mode of goodness can mitigate the threefold miseries of life. Vasudeva and Devaki, the so-called father and mother of Lord Krishna, underwent penances to get Vasudeva as their son. Lord Shri Krishna is the father of all living beings. Therefore, he is the original living being of all other living beings. He is the original eternal enjoyer amongst all other enjoyers. Therefore, no one can be his begetting father, as the ignorant may think. Lord Shri Krishna agreed to become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki upon being pleased with their severe austerities. Therefore, if any austerities have to be done, they must be done to achieve the end of knowledge, Vasudeva. Vasudeva is the original personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. As explained before, the original personality of Godhead expands himself by innumerable forms. Such expansion of forms is made possible by his various energies. His energies are also multifarious, and his internal energies are superior and external energies inferior in quality. They are explained in the Bhagavad Gita as the para and the apara prakritis. So his expansions of various forms which take place via the internal energies are superior forms, whereas the expansions which take place via the external energies are inferior forms. The living entities are also his expansions. The living entities who are expanded by his eternal potency are eternally liberated persons, whereas those who are expanded in terms of the material energies are eternally conditioned souls. Therefore, all culture of knowledge, austerities, sacrifice, and activities should be aimed at changing the quality of the influence that is acting upon us. For the present, we are all being controlled by the external energy of the Lord, and just to change the quality of the influence, we must endeavor to cultivate spiritual energy. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that those who are Mahatmas, or those whose minds have been so broadened as to be engaged in the service of Lord Krishna, are under the influence of the eternal potency. And the effect is that such broad-minded living beings are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord without deviation. That should be the aim of life. And that is the verdict of all the Vedic literatures. No one should bother himself with fruitive activities or dry speculation about transcendental knowledge. Everyone should at once engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, nor should one worship different demigods who work as different hands of the Lord for creation, maintenance, or destruction of the material world. There are innumerable powerful demigods who look over the external management of the material world. They are all different assisting hands of Lord Vasudeva. Even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are included in the list of demigods, but Lord Vishnu or Vasudeva is always transcendentally situated. Even though he accepts the quality of goodness of the material world, he is still transcendental to all the material modes. The following example will clear that matter more explicitly. In the prison house, there are the prisoners and the managers of the prison house. Both the managers and the prisoners are bound by the laws of the king. But even though the king sometimes comes in the prison, he is not bound by the laws of the prison house. The king is therefore always transcendental to the laws of the prison house, as the Lord is always transcendental to the laws of the material world. Wow, that was
Hare
long.
Krishna, that was a very long purport, but it was also more than one verse. Hare Krishna. So I'm sure there are some questions. Let's go to the beginning and just skim over the purport. We have here 2 verses combined, and Srila Prabhupada speaks quite extensively. There are a few references. Right at the beginning, Srila Prabhupada says, "And for this act, such impersonalists get freedom from material bondage only with great difficulty. They can surrender unto him only after many, many births." What Bhagavad Gita verse comes to mind? Who can say? Surrender unto the Lord after many, many births. Vaishana, Mataji?
No, I'm thinking about it. I sort of know it. I can't sort of.
Which Bhagavad Gita verse? Ben? Famous. We spoke many times.
I think something to the effect that the Gyanis, those who are in knowledge, after many, many births, they surrender unto Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this case, impersonalist. Well, the verse is 7th chapter, text 19. Bahunam janmanamante gyanavam mamprapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. A verse well worth learning. Sanskrit and translation. So here's the translation. After many birth and death, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Because that's a very, very important verse of Bhagavad Gita. That refers to Srila Prabhupada writes, the impersonalists, they can surrender unto him only after many, many births in the culture of transcendental knowledge. That is clearly exactly the verse Srila Prabhupada is aiming in, because these are the impersonalists, Gyanis. Gyanis are easily impersonalists. They're searching after knowledge, cultivating knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada writes here, in the culture of transcendental knowledge. They're transcendentalists, yes, but they don't surrender to the Lord. They're searching for the truth. And after many, many births, eventually they will come also to surrender to Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada speaks in the lecture, and I've mentioned it many times, and I'm sure you remember. So if we have to surrender after many, many births to Krishna, why not surrender right away? That's his proposition. Why waiting many, many births? Birth and death is not a very pleasant business. Let's have a quick look in the chat area. There is quite a bit. It only appears on the screen so briefly. I cannot even open it. Doesn't respond. Maybe someone can read. There was a question from Dharm. Oh no, here it is. Okay. Then you posted Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavam. Yes, that's that verse. That's that verse. And you brought up another verse. Yes, that is worth reading. That's an important verse. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, Be thou happy by this yajna sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you all desirable things. So that's an important verse, very important. Understand that, the importance of yajnas. It all ties in what Rashmi has been saying, the three things, dan and tapa and yajnas. These are important, and these are cultivated by every ashram. Okay, questions? Amar, I would imagine you have some question or comment, because it's a lot about yoga.
Haribol Amar, he said he's driving. He can only listen.
Okay. I didn't get that. Okay, great. So there is another point if we go to the purport. Ill-fated yogis are given a chance in the next birth by being placed in the families of good, learned brahmanas or in the families of rich merchants in order to execute the unfinished task of Vasudeva realization. What Bhagavad Gita verse? What are we talking about? We have talked so many times about it. I'm sure everybody should know that. What verse are we talking about? Anyone? Ben, what about you?
This is a couple of verses actually that are there.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact location, but Arjuna is posing a few questions to Krishna about what is the destination of the unsuccessful yogi.
That's
because he hasn't achieved success spiritually, and he's turned his back on materialism. He's kind of in a difficult situation because he hasn't accomplished the goal, and so Arjuna is asking Krishna, what is his position? He's like a riven cloud.
That word sticks in the mine as well. Riven cloud. That is probably the only word in Gita.
He's neither connected to the cloud, so he's kind of a bit in no man's land, if you like. So he's not connected to the main cloud. He's kind of just drifting, drifting aimlessly. So that's the position. But then Krishna tells him that the unsuccessful yogi, who's only performed a small percentage of devotional service, he says that for these devotees, they spend many years on the heavenly planets to become free from their material desires. They can act out their material desires and enjoyment and whatever they want, and then they can take birth again, and they take birth in a more advantageous position. They take birth in the family of rich aristocracy, it says, people who have wealth, money, and they're born into like a materially good situation, advantageous for them, and at some point in that living entity's life, because they've already performed spiritual activity, then by the divine order, Krishna makes arrangements for them to somehow or other pick up from where they left off, in a sense. And then there's other devotees they've been on the path a long time. They made more progress, become more advanced in spiritual life and understanding. And for them, they take birth in families of learned brahmanas and transcendentalists who are very wise and who are situated in spiritual realization. And then again, they pick up from where they left off. So that's Krishna's answer to Arjuna about this question.
Wonderful explanation. I couldn't say anything more than that, except it sounded almost like in the heavenly planets they can enjoy and get purified. But enjoyment in the heavenly planets doesn't give purification. But by the dint of austerities and cultivation of transcendental knowledge in the previous birth, they automatically, like a magnet, are attracted back to the transcendental knowledge. Rashmi, you have your hand
I
up?
have a question for Ben. So, what happens? So, this the yogi who has not finished his, he's not achieved his goal in this life. Now, in next life, Krishna gives him a chance, and he starts off wherever his bhakti, his practice is not waste. So he will get born into an aristocratic family, wealthy family, where he will be able to practice all that. But when a soul comes into contact with wealth and prestige and position, then he becomes bewildered. This same soul, won't he become bewildered? And then what if he does not, this wealthy person, if he is well situated, materially everything is satisfied, but now this happiness and satisfaction, comfortable life, he does not take advantage of that, does not use it for Krishna, then what happens to him? So will he keep on taking birth again and again, every time into aristocratic family? Or what will happen?
Let me just say that this question actually came up in my mind when I was thinking about this. The exact same question came up, because yes, it's like if you're born into wealth and aristocracy and good material advantage, yeah, you would think it's obvious that you're going to become entangled in that situation, and you're going to be distracted from any kind of spiritual path or realization or anything. So that same question actually came up for me. And the only way I thought I could answer that is that because the Lord in the heart, He is cognizant of each living entity, all their activities and whatever they've done. So He makes arrangements in that conditioned soul's life, whereby, although they may be born into rich materialistic atmosphere, but He makes arrangements to bring that soul to its senses, in a sense. If you understand what I mean, it kind of the Lord can make things. What we might think a material situation could be wonderful, but in this sense, if it stops you from getting to what's the real aim and benefit in life, then it's not so wonderful. It's more like a poison. It's like a prison. It's you're like encaged in this prison that's preventing you from actually getting to what is the real goal in life. So Krishna can make all kinds of arrangements for that conditioned soul. Even if you're in a advantageous material position, he can make it extremely distasteful. He can make it many things happen, and he can help that conditioned soul to become frustrated with this kind of life, and bring him to real special mercy, to bring him to his senses, to bring him to his knees, and to help him to realize and to understand, that this materialism isn't going to really make him really happy. That's an answer I can give.
Thank you. Very good answer. Just look at early disciples of Srila Prabhupada in America. They all came from very good families. They have all, or most of them, have university degrees. They're coming from rich families and so on. So how come they're taken to Krishna consciousness? So exactly what Ben said, in the heart, Krishna in the heart. And first of all, we need to clarify an aristocratic birth. Why is it advantageous? Because there is no material want. All the material necessities are easily fulfilled in such an aristocratic family. There is wealth and there is education and everything is there. But let's not forget that unsuccessful yogi, he has been a yogi in his past life. He has not been someone it's not that everyone takes birth in an aristocratic family is an unsuccessful yogi. There may be others due to pious activities and so on. Yes, wealth can bewilder, but Krishna within the heart, as Ben so nicely explained, and after all, it has been a yogi. He has cultivated transcendental knowledge to a various degree. And then he becomes again attracted to the path of transcendental knowledge and Krishna consciousness. And it's in these verses, it's also said that person who has been an unsuccessful yogi for a long time, short time, he feels attracted to the cultivation of transcendental knowledge like a magnet is, a piece of iron is attracted to a magnet. He just can't help it. He will find somehow or other, he'll find his way back to his previous cultivation of knowledge. So that is the answer, and that's how it works. So verse actually is, it's in the 6th chapter, in the yoga chapter, is text 41. One of the verses, the unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. And as Ben explained, there are a number of verses which explains that the yogi who has been practicing for a long time and then falls away, and so on. So, yes, this is a verse, or a succession of verses. It is worthwhile of noting them down. These are important verses. Let's move on from there. A little bit later, Srila Prabhupada says, this is also so for the culture of knowledge. According to Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 items in culturing knowledge. It would take a long time to search for that. Now, the 18, that is knowledge and the rest is ignorance, Krishna is saying. Let's have a quick look, maybe we find it. This I declare knowledge, something like that, as Krishna says. Anyone comes up with that verse? No, I cannot find it in a quick way. Anyway, that is a verse which lists all the 18 items of knowledge. And the rest, Krishna explains the rest, that is ignorance. So very clearly defined what is knowledge. So, if anyone finds it later on, Ben, if you find it, we will be happy to know about that. There is one which I highlighted while Vashana Mataji was reading. Sometimes modern politicians also undergo severe types of austerities to achieve some political end. This is not actually tapasya. What we're talking, do we have any examples? Severe austerities or political ends? Ben, what are you sending here?
Prabhuji, in India, a lot of politicians, well, not politicians or lots of leaders, what they will do certain movements, like they will fast. If this is not achieved, then I will fast on to death. If this law is not changed, I will fast on to death. So they do extreme austerities. I've seen that it happens in India a lot. Very recently it happened in the last 5-7 years. Some law had to be changed, and that person did it to change the law, fast on to death. So
what famous person is in that category?
Mahatma Gandhi.
Absolutely, yes. So, okay. There are modern day politicians who do that. That is not recommended, and that is certainly not tapasya. A bit later on, Srila Prabhupada writes, Lord Sri Krishna is the father of all living beings. Bhagavad Gita 14.4. Do we have a reference? 14.4. It should be understood that all species of life or son of Kunti are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Important verse. One in the 108 key verses. Krishna says here clearly, I am the seed-giving father. That's that reference. And we have here also later his energies are also multifarious, and his internal energies are superior and external energies inferior in quality. They are explained in the Bhagavad Gita 7:4-6 as a para and apara prakriti. 7:4. Yeah, 7:4. Explaining these energies. Famous verse. Very famous verse. Ben, you know that, and others know that. Bhumi upon nalo vayu kamano buddhir evacha ahankara iti yatma mebina prakritir astata. Earth, water, fire, air, either mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So that is Krishna's separated energies, and the other verses after that will explain in a similar way. Okay, one more. Further down, the living entities who are expanded by his internal potency are eternally liberated persons, whereas those who are expanded in terms of the material energies are eternally conditioned souls. What are the Sanskrit terms? Very famous terms for that. Eternally liberated means what? And I'm sure you know. So devoted. Nitya, yes.
Nitya Baddha.
Yes.
Eternally conditioned.
And
Nitya Baddha.
yes, that's the eternally conditioned, and the eternally liberated are called?
Nityam. No, I don't know that one.
Nitya
That
Siddha.
one is Nitya Siddha.
Nitya Siddha and Nitya Baddha. What are you sending us here, Ben? Sankhya Yoga. Yes, we spoke about that. Such a birth is very rare. No, it's not the last one. That is not the verse I meant, but that is also explaining that. Fearlessness, purification of one's senses, the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance, of sacrifice, studying of the Vedas, austerity and simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion, and freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, and steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, the whole list, freedom from envy and the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharat, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. Yes. Beautiful, yes. Because I had in mind, and maybe you can find that also, Krishna explains what is knowledge, and then he says at the end, and the rest is ignorance. Anyway, it's similar, very similar. Okay, what else? Any questions to this long purport? And a lot of time on that purport, but it was a very long purport. And we're drawing already to 8:30, and it's not a Saturday today, it's a Wednesday. Any questions, last questions or comments before we do a little bit of kirtan? Vaishana Mataji, any comments, questions? We could probably discuss that verse in more detail for another half an hour easily.
No, not at the moment.
It's all clear. Rashmi, anything? Okay, so we'll do Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, 8 till 12. Can you post that verse here? Or we do next time? Okay, we'll do a bit of kirtan. That is okay, because we're running otherwise quite late. So 5 minutes kirtan. Okay, here Dharm is, I think that's a verse I'm meant to. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, and self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false egos, a perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, non-attachment to children, wife, home, and the rest, and even-mindedness amongst pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, resorting to solitary places, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I thus declare to be knowledge. And what is contrary to these is ignorance. That's exactly the verse I. Okay.
What verse was that?
It's in the chat. That was 13th chapter, text 8 to 12. Okay, Kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Jaya Radha Landanishwar Radha Landanishwara Radha Jaya Radha Landanishwara Radha Landanishwara Radha Jaya Radha Radha Madan Mohan Radha Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radha Radha Jaya Radha Radha Jaya Jaya Shri Radha Radha Jaya Jaya Radha Radha Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jaya Jaya Shri Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Jaya Shri Radhe Jai Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Radhe Jaya Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Radhe Jaya Jaya Shri Radhe Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jai Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya 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 Giri Govardhan, Jai Nitai Satchishundar, 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 Jaya Nitai Satchishundar, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Vancha kalpatarupascha, kripa sindhu daivacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vancha kalpatarupascha, kripa sindhu daivacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Premji Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Let us offer our most humble obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They're just like desire trees, and they can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they're full of compassion to the fallen and conditioned souls. Hare Krishna. That's it for tonight, and we'll meet again on Saturday. And whoever has been missing, there's a verse coming up, or he takes his birth in the family of transcendence. Yes, of course, that's the succession of verses. I think what we want to do, whenever in the purport Srila Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita, we want to try to find the reference. So keep a Bhagavad Gita ready, or you have a favorite search engine or whichever, so we can get these references. So it's not just Bhagavatam, as Srila Prabhupada is always going back to the law book, which is Bhagavad Gita. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, Jayanti Bai, I haven't even seen you. You are here as well. Welcome. And stay safe, and see you all on Saturday. Hare Krishna.